Hey everybody, it's me, Brandon, and you're the editor of LemonadeMagazine.net and also the host of Lemonade Magazine podcast. I thought I would start doing this, I guess, vlog of sorts, kind of as a companion to both the podcast and the magazine. For years, we've been doing this now, me and my business partner, Aaron Minari, and my friend, by the way. I always hate to call him just my business partner. He's one of my good friends. We've been doing this now. I started the magazine in 2010. Aaron came on board, I think late 2011, I want to say. And, but I think a lot of people who read the magazine know the basis of the story. I think through a lot of those years, I was so focused on proving something. I wanted everybody to feel like Lemonade Magazine was legitimate. It wasn't just another amateur blog. And the truth is that we always have been legitimate. We grew our base organically, and it's slowly and steadily been getting bigger. And at the same time, me and Aaron have both always had day jobs. I for some reason, I always felt like I wanted everybody to just believe that this was all we were doing because that's how important it was. And the truth is, it has always been very, very important. But life isn't like that. And me and Aaron have both worked through all this, and I once had 3 jobs at one point while also writing for Lemonade Magazine. And that's sort of how things are these days for all sorts of artists, whether you be musicians, writers, actors. The internet provides so many different outlets for us to show what we can do, but on the other hand, there are so many other people who are trying to show it as well, and there are a lot of voices, and you can only turn your head so many places at once. And the TLDR thing is a very real thing. For even the places I've worked at where I've either written stuff or whatever, people will say, hey, attention spans are short these days. You want whatever you're writing to only be X amount of words long because people don't want to be reading something for 20 minutes. And even with the podcast, it's like keep it around a certain amount of time because people don't want to listen to something that long. Podcasts, I do think, give a little more leniency because people are super into it these days. But even these things, videos, people don't want to watch something that's double-digit numbers, and minutes. But anyways, so that's kind of why I wanted to give a background of all of this. This is my apartment. This is my studio. This is where I work for Lemonade from. Aaron works in Tacoma, about 2 hours away from me. And, I'm obsessed with flags. You can see that. But, this is what we built Lemonade from. We don't have a fancy office. We don't have our writers, our freelance writers, they're around the country. We don't have anybody necessarily really near us. We have one person that does some photo work for us in Seattle. Otherwise, everybody's kind of in Houston, Los Angeles, and that kind of thing. So yeah, I keep using the word organic, and that really is what we've been all about. We have done this all through reaching out to people, whether it be publicists, managers, and building great relationships with them and having great communication with them as well, and really prioritizing bringing amazing artists of all kinds to the forefront, and not focusing on the negative that some places seem to like to do. Don't get me wrong, there's always a place for where you have to have credibility and where constructive criticism is important. But we have built Lemonade Magazine on promoting artists that we truly can get behind, and I think that's really important that we keep going with that mission. All right, so the podcast, which is the newest addition to Lemonade Magazine. I kind of want to use this, now that I got all that out of the way, I kind of want to use this vlog as a way to sort of talk about each episode and talk about you can only fit so much on the podcast, so kind of a behind the scenes thing. So yeah, last episode, I interviewed Sister Sparrow. I think their music is completely universal because I played 2 of their songs on the podcast so far, and the reaction to their music is always positive from so many different types of fans. So it was absolutely incredible being able to interview Arlie, because she's just, if you've ever seen her live too, her voice is incredible. And so the fact that, to have that sort of talent on the podcast just means heaps to me. What I'm actually really stoked about too is this Friday coming, Cops. I have Patricia Patron from Cops on the podcast, not the show Cops, no, K-O-P-P-S, the music band. And Patricia is an absolute riot, and that's why I can't wait for people to hear or listen to the next podcast, because she was so much fun, and that's so great. You can always tell when you're about to interview somebody, and I've not really had any bad interviews. I can maybe count one or two awkward ones, but you can always tell when somebody's just going to be, a standard interview, and when someone is going to be somebody you can kind of have fun with. And Patricia was definitely the latter. And I absolutely just had a blast interviewing her, and I hope she had fun doing the interview as well. So that's coming up this week. And for any artists who are listening, we are always glad to listen to new music. There's only so many songs we can play, obviously, each week. But if you do have your music to submit to the podcast, send me an email. We listen at lemonademagazine.net and include podcast in the subject line. So hopefully this kind of goes smoother and smoother each week. I also would like to hear back from you guys if you are watching this and listening to the podcast, what music you're enjoying, and what your favorite interviews have been. I'm just thinking about I've played music now from artists who originated in Slovenia and Australia, England, Sweden, South Africa. It's great hearing all the different sounds and different inspirations from artists around the world. And, 'cause my family is from around the world, and I don't even have flags for my cousins over in Europe. So it's a blast, and I have a blast doing it, and I hope that everybody else, that's why I want everybody to be listening and, and really enjoy it like I do, because this is fun for me, too. And I promise, of course, you watch these, you'll see a whole lot of me. But if you listen to the podcast, it's more music than anything, and kind of like a dream come true for me in that regard. So I hope to hear more from everybody. I hope to become more engaged with the listeners and the viewers and the readers. So thank you so much again, and let's hope that we can make this a weekly thing. See ya.